Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Nina and I just finished my second year of vet studies at Onderstepoort campus here in South Africa. So today I'm making part one of a two-part video about my second year modules. Today we're just going to be doing semester 1 and 2 modules, and then in the next video we will be doing the year modules. So before we begin, if there are any disturbances, it is either the dogs trying to get in by breaking down the gate, or it is my boyfriend busy gaming. So let's just get started. So the first module that we're going to be talking about is a first semester module, and that is Pt.1, which is pasture science, or better known as the grass class. And that is basically just everything about grass. It is the types of grass, the structure of grass, the soil in which grass grows, everything possible about grass. To be honest, it is not one of my favorite modules, and it is also the one that I did worst in out of all my modules for the whole year. And it is fairly boring. I'm not going to lie, it is not the most interesting class ever. However, it is pretty important because you will very quickly learn that anything that goes into an animal influences everything that goes on inside. So, for example, for cows and grazing animals and all of that, grass is one of the biggest factors that can influence their health and their well-being and all of that. So it is a very important module to have, but it is a bit of a pain to get through. It is a lot of boring to take for a whole semester, but it is definitely worth it in the end, and I have heard of so many vets who get to practice one day and they're just like, oh, they wish that they had paid more attention in pasture science because they have no idea what is going on and they need to use it on a daily basis. So try your best, but no one is going to judge you if you don't enjoy it as much as the lecturers would want you to. So most of the modules that we only had for one semester were sort of governed by one big assignment, and the assignment for our grass class was horrible. It wasn't the best. It was an individual assignment, and if I remember correctly, we had to go and collect 20 different species of grass, which was the fun part, and then we had to do a ridiculously detailed assessment of that grass. We had to say things like the common name and the species name, which is fine, and then we had to go to the rainfall of the area, the climate of the area, the soil that it's growing in, what animal is most likely to eat it, and what animal is most likely to benefit from it. You know, ridiculous amounts of detail for all 20 of them. It wasn't a particularly difficult assignment, but it wasn't easy to find all the information that you need because it is so in detail. Most sources just don't have it because you don't really need it. So it was really difficult to find a lot of the finer details. One hint, a lot of the older grass identification books had a lot of the classifications, you know, the more specific and in detail classifications that they ask for. So try and look at those, but it was a real pain, especially for us with the pandemic. It did not help at all because this assignment is intended to be done in the March holidays, and universities closed before the March holidays, and then by the time that they decided, okay, we're not just closed, you're on holiday now, you know, this counts as your holiday. By that time we were on lockdown, so we were not allowed to leave the house at all except for food and emergencies. So for example, I had an open field in front of my house, right in front of it, and I was not allowed to go out and go and pick grass, like not even stay there for longer than 20 minutes. I had to go out and pick a few species of grass and go back inside, and I wasn't allowed to do that. And yeah, then the lecturers got all spiteful and they were like, oh, but we assume that you guys did all of this the moment that class is in, which a lot of us didn't. I definitely didn't. Then they at first didn't want to move the due date at all because they felt that we had to have known and we had to have done that, which we did not. And then eventually they did move it, and then there were all kinds of issues with people who live in areas where they just can't find that many species, or where lockdown was enforced a lot more, so they weren't able to go out and to do their research and find the species, or they didn't have Wi-Fi at home, so they couldn't, do research to be able to fill in the sheets. So it was a whole struggle. Then we had to do a whole other assignment on top of that one, which vet students usually don't have to do at all. So yeah, that the whole assignment thing was a whole mess. It's pretty difficult to study grass from inside your house. So yeah, it wasn't the best module to have in the middle of a pandemic, but luckily we did it and it's over, and I still get nightmares from that assignment. So the next one is VEM210, and that is veterinary microbiology. And yeah, not much to say about the contents of it. It is pretty much in the name. It is microbiology. So any microbiota that influences animals, basically, you learn about. So bacteria, fungi, viruses, all of that, you learn about them, I want to say, objectively. And then in one of the next modules, which was immunology, you learn about them as pathogens. But microbiology was just sort of just learning what they are, what they do, all of that. And then it wasn't a very difficult module. I did fairly well in it. They give you all the notes that you need. You study it, you write the test. It really wasn't that complicated. It also had one big assignment. It was a group assignment, which I'm not very fond of, but this one went fairly well. People were terrified of it, to say the least. All of these big assignments you are notified of pretty much the first day of class, and they're like, okay, you have this semester to complete the assignment, basically. By the end of the semester, we're going to give you a due date, and then you have to have it done by then. And then what freaked everyone out about this one was that it was a video assignment, which none of us have ever done before. And it was just really daunting and scary, and we have no idea what to do. This was also before I had my channel, so I had never made a video about anything. I honestly, not even when I made it, could I watch that video because it is so cringy. But basically what happens is that they gave you a topic, and then they ask you questions about the topic, and you answer those questions in a video. It's as simple as that. And we all overthought it immensely. We were so stressed about this thing. We had no idea how to do it. Also, because of the pandemic, we couldn't get together to work on the assignment and to take the videos, so we had to compile all our different videos. We had to split the questions and sort of all do it on our own, which I prefer, honestly. It really wasn't difficult. You have your questions, you do your research, you answer it in the video, and it's even, I think it's like a 5-minute video. It's really not long. So it was as simple as that, and then you just upload it to YouTube, which does not mean that anyone can see it. You can upload it and make it private, so only people with the link can see it. You send the link to your lecturers, they give you a mark. It's as simple as that. It was really actually a fairly fun assignment compared to some of the other ones, so yeah, it was definitely one of my better modules. The next module is VIM220, which is immunology. And it is honestly one of the most complicated modules I've had in my entire life. It is just so... everything about the immune system is covered in this module, and it is all like this insane network. Everything connects to everything, leads to everything, is influenced by everything, and it is so difficult to sort of separate the events, which was what made this module so difficult for a lot of students, and it was really such a struggle for tests and exams, because then they would ask you, for example, a 3-mark question, and then you're like, okay, well, I can tell you 30 marks about this thing because this leads to this, leads to that, leads to this. So it's so difficult to simplify it to a yes or no answer type thing. And then the assignment for this one was absolutely horrible. It was so bad because what it was a poster assignment. So we had to make a poster that had basically the most basic explanation of the immune system possible. So they didn't even really want words. They wanted as few words as possible, and then they wanted pictures and diagrams, sort of like how you would explain it to a 10-year-old. So it was also, that was particularly difficult because of the pandemic. It was really difficult to be able to get together and work on this thing, and it isn't really something that you can just be like, okay, you do this part and you do this part and we just put it together, because everything is so interconnected. You have to work together, and it's a poster, you know, it's sort of all, yeah, it's all mushed together. It's really difficult to just separate everything. And it was so stressful because it was also at the end of the year, and we had the exams coming up, and that was absolutely horrifying. We were busy with anatomy weeks and practical week, and Yeah, it was a hectic time, one of the most stressful assignments I've ever had, and we ended up, having to postpone all of our meetings because first half the people couldn't come, then this happened, then that happened, then this person's work wasn't done, then this event happened, then we had to go to this thing rather than this thing, and oh, it was so bad. I think we handed this thing in with literally hours to spare, and we had the whole semester to do it. So, my advice to you is don't procrastinate on immunology. Don't get behind on the week to week work. Don't get behind on the assignment. Just don't do it, because I sort of left this module as a, I'll deal with it when I get there type thing, because yeah, it was just second semester. It was not the best for me. It did not go well. Just yeah, I was just so done with everything. I was done with the pandemic. I was done with my studies. I was just so tired of everything. And then immunology just came like once a week class, sort of like this thing that's just there to annoy you. And it's actually so important. So I ended up having to do a lot of my work in sort of bulks, because I got to my first semester test and I realized that I didn't know anything. So I had to study from scratch for my semester test. And then at the assignment, we had to do everything from scratch again, because by that time you had forgotten what happened in the semester test. And then, oh, this was just a hectic subject. It's not supposed to be as bad as it was for me. I definitely procrastinated too much. So if you just stay up to date with immunology, you keep up to date with what the lecturer is telling you, then it's a lot easier for everything to fit together and for you to understand how everything works together, and then to sort of separate it into simpler versions of itself so that you are able to do the assignments and answer the questions and tests and all of that. So just don't leave it until the last minute, because that definitely doesn't work for this module. So our last semester module was also second semester module, and that is VKU 224, which is animal nutrition. It was definitely one of my more liked subjects. I really enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun for me in parts. For example, the dog and cat nutrition and the horse nutrition. It was so interesting to me to learn, because those are animals that I've dealt with my whole life. And it was so nice to see what actually, because you always see them getting fed, and now you see what goes into the feed, why it goes into the feed, the effect that it has on the animal. All of that. You also do a lot of body condition scoring, which is really interesting to me. With dogs, for example, a lot of people would think that they're too skinny when they're actually the ideal weight. The majority of dogs are overweight. So it was so interesting to me to see what is actually a good weight for a dog and a horse and a pig. For pigs, it's really difficult because they're all round, always. Even a skinny pig is round. I don't even know how that works. It does also sometimes get a bit, I want to say, annoying. It was annoying to me because I feel like they went into insane amounts of detail, especially with poultry. I don't know what they have with that, but I feel like they in detail explained the amounts and inclusion and everything of every single amino acid. It was just so annoying at a point. It's just too much. It was just too much detail. I was just so over that module by the end of it. For this one, we luckily didn't have a big assignment. We did have small quizzes and stuff as the semester went along. Then we also did have, our semester tests. It was a bit of a more low maintenance module, so I really enjoyed it. It had a lot of interesting aspects, and it is definitely something that you would use a lot as a vet one day. Okay guys, so this was all the first and second semester modules, and next time we'll be doing the year modules. There are 5 of those, so yeah, if you thought that, everything still sounds fine, second year sounds so easy, you haven't even heard the beginning of it. But I hope that this will help you guys a bit. For everyone who has to have these modules next year or the year after or whenever, that you are just a bit more prepared and just know what to expect. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you have any questions. You can also email me. I'll have my email address linked below. And if you have any questions, you can also just email them to me. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!